let's talk about image, right? So we know, okay, we understood that container is an isolated process, right? I am putting everything into this box. I am calling it as container. Container is a box, it's a package which contains the code plus all the libraries required to run it, all the dependencies required to run that code. Right. Now, where am I getting this code plus this runtime environment? Container is just an empty box basically. Where does it get its files and configuration? All that I am saying here, right? Container contains the code, it contains the code plus all configurations. So from where is it getting those? How do you share those environments? How do you send this thing to different environments, right? So there comes the concept of images. A container image is a standardized package that includes all the files, binaries, libraries and configuration to run a container, right? So image is the actual thing. Image is the actual thing here. Okay, it's a package that includes all the files, binaries, libraries and configurations. For example, for a PostgreSQL image, the image will package the database binaries, config files and other dependencies. Because we are saying, right, for each component, for front end I have one container, for back end I have one container, for database I have one container, right? For database I am saying PostgreSQL image. That image will package all the libraries for running any SQL query or creating some tables. Let's say for Python web app, it will include Python runtime, your app code and all its dependencies. Everything will be stored here. So basically telling you here, in container we are placing a image. This image consists of all those dependencies. Okay, I am going it reverse. So first step is actually to create an image. Push that image into the container. While creating image, I will be giving two things: my code, my dependencies. These two things it will take, create an image, this image will be pushed into the container. This container will run. I will start and stop the container, right? So basically image is a package which contains all the code, files, binaries, libraries, configuration settings, everything whatever has to be done, that will be there in that image. That image we are placing it into the container. That's why we are saying container contains everything required to run. Okay, then there are two important principles of the images. Images are immutable. Once an image is created, it cannot be modified. You can only make a new image or add changes on top of it. You cannot change anything. You can add code or you can create a new one. It is immutable. Remember this, images are immutable. Then container images are composed of layers. Okay, each layer represents a set of file system changes that add, remove or modify the files. You will understand this much better when we see the demonstration, when you really experience the container and images creation using Docker, then you will understand it better about these layers. Okay, so these are the two important. These two principles let you extend or add to existing images, right? So for example, if you are building a Python app, you can start from Python image and add additional layers to install your app's dependencies and add your code. So in container I will have layers layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, like this I will have different layers. Okay, one after the other we will be doing it, right. So, this is about the image. Okay, in simple terms, let me explain this image in simple terms. Okay, if we understand this, right. Let us say the recipe of the food, okay, the ingredient, the ingredients, sorry, ingredients of the food is your image. Okay, then what is your container? Container is your lunch box. Lunch box is your container. As simple as that. The food item which I am preparing, right? I am the food plus the style of cooking, everything combined I am generating, or ingredients plus the instructions, or let us say this way, ingredients plus the instructions. If I give this to somebody, they can prepare the food. That food I am loading in a box, right. And where is this food prepared? Where is this food prepared? It is prepared in the kitchen. So, Docker is the software where we create images. It means Docker is the place, kitchen is the place where we prepare the food, right. So, in simple terms, if I tell you again, right. So, image is like your recipe, container is the lunch box, kitchen is the place where you are actually creating the containers, or you are creating the image, you can say that way, not containers, you are creating the image, right. So, this is the linking between container and the image. It is the food, image is the food, and lunch box is the carrier, or container is the carrier where I can carry the food. Okay. In another simple terms, if I tell you about this, okay, if I have one image, okay, this is a very important point. I have one image. Okay, what is this? I told you, no, it is the ingredients. Then, if I have one image, I can put this image in many containers. I can put this image in many different containers. Let's say in simple, I have again I'll give some simple example. I have dosa batter with me. That is my ingredient. That is my image. I can create multiple. I can, if you want make one dosa, I'll make it 100. I'll make 100 dosa. Right? How am I making it? I am putting them in the containers. I am making 1, I am making 200, 350, 30, 40, as many as possible you can make, and as many as boxes you can make and send it to somebody. You can do business also with that. So, this is the linkage between container and image. Image is like your ingredient, container is the lunch box, or the box which I use to carry the food. Right? So, these are two important concepts. We have talked about container and we have talked about the image, right. So, next we have to study about the registry.